You know, usually when we get together, I have nothing but happy, uplifting news for you with happy, uplifting people, and that's really not going to change. Things at the McMahon house are a bit down these days because after 15 and a half years with our beloved golden doodle, Bijou, it was time for her to go to puppy paradise. And we thought, how do you do this? How do you make arrangements for a family dog? And then we found out about happy endings. And we found out that Dr. Mike Fixler is in charge of happy endings for all those families across the Valley of the Sun. And I thank you so much for the service that you provided us.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
When did the idea, though, of providing this service, this euthanasia service, exclusively at home, when did that occur to you as a service?
Well, so I come from a small town in New Jersey, and we were fortunate to have a small town veterinarian come to our homes when euthanasia was needed. And so I guess that's how I first experienced it. And then when I was a veterinarian out here, I've been out here for 15 years now, and when my first son was born, Max, my wife and I decided that we would take some time off for him, and we would open a hospital. Well, in the interim, we started offering this service to some of our clients, some of our pet owners, and the response was overwhelming. And we decided that this was much needed, and we just kept doing it, and that's how it started.
And what a difference for the family! What a difference for the pet, and for the other pets in the families that have more than one dog. Because the atmosphere and the environment is far different than a veterinarian's lab or office.
Yes.
No matter how cozy they might want to keep it, it's not home. Talk about that first visit that we had that's also a part of what you do.
Yeah, and so, we always do an assessment on the pet. We always want to make sure that we're making the right decision at the right time.
Because sometimes mom and dad don't really know whether the dog is sick enough, disabled enough, that it's that time.
Exactly, and there are certain cases. In most cases, people already know. They've spoken to their veterinarian. There's an agreement there. There's an understanding that this is what's needed. But in certain cases, we'll come out and we'll realize that there are other avenues that we can explore. There are certain medications we can try, and sometimes we will have, I'll get a call from a pet owner a week later after our visit, after we've decided not to euthanize, and they'll tell me, hey, Fluffy is doing great, and thank you so much, and those are great, just kind of great opportunities to kind of step in and say, hey, I think we can buy a little more quality time here, and so that's
well, you got acquainted with Bijou, you got acquainted with us, and you got acquainted with also the layout of the house. Do you choose a place in association with the wishes of the client?
Exactly, yeah, we don't choose. This is all about the pet. And I think, that's kind of one of the biggest differences between being at home and being at the hospital, is that, there's no designated room with a table and any of that. Sometimes if we're out to a cat and that cat, her whole life has been spent in the closet, then we're all in the closet. We want to be wherever your pet is most comfortable.
So the farewell takes place. It was so gentle. It was so loving. You and your assistant took care of Bijou and us. And then what happens?
And then as far as the rest of the appointment?
Yes.
Yes. And so once we've established that euthanasia is the appropriate option, then we do everything in the most peaceful manner possible.
But after it takes place, though, there are also other choices.
As far as cremation, you mean?
Yes.
Yes. And so then the family has the option whether they want their ashes returned, or whether they just want a communal cremation with no ashes returned, or if the family chooses, they can keep their pet's remains and they can do what they want to do with them.
Have you ever had the experience yourself? I didn't ask you this, and I don't know now whether there's ever a time that you and your family had to say goodbye to a pet.
Yes, it's happened multiple times with us. We actually lost all 3 of our dogs within 1 year, all to different cancers, and they were getting up there in age, and we didn't expect to have this happen to them so close together. But yes, we were able to do this for them, and it was peaceful. And our goal is always to make it uneventful for them, and so that it's like they're falling asleep on any given night and they don't know any different, and we should all be so fortunate to have that.
If you want to know more about the details behind the service Dr. Fixler and his staff provide so lovingly, I say that with the personal experience that we've had. Happy Endings is the name of the organization in Northeast Phoenix. And I thank you, Duffy thanks you, and I know that wherever